And the winner is... Godfather Part II. Francis Ford Coppola, Gray Fredrickson, and Fred Yost.
Welcome back to The Better Half. I'm Bradley J. Halverson, and here with me, she's my better half, my Don. It's Carly Corio. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Bradley. Bradley, do you feel like Carly Corio sounds like Corleone?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Okay, just making sure. I think that's kind of cool.
Wow. Another Godfather. We've done it.
Another Godfather. Another 3 hours plus of film.
Yeah, my jaw did drop when I realized this one was longer than the first one by like 20 minutes or so.
Totally. I think 2 hours in, and then I realized I still had the full length of Driving Miss Daisy to watch. I was like, holy moly.
Speaking of Driving Miss Daisy, because I had this thought watching The Godfather Part II, but it's actually so comical to me that Driving Miss Daisy ever won Best Picture. Like, when you compare Driving Miss Daisy to the two Godfathers, it's like they're not even remotely in the same league, and yet they won the same award.
It's unbelievable. Right. That they won the same award. Like,
wow.
Come on.
No, the Academy, they goofed big time in 1989. Well, Carly, how are you? How's life?
Oh, I'm like really good.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm really good. I'm pretty busy.
Booked and busy.
But yeah, I'm booked and busy. That is a good way to put it. Like, I had to find time for this, you know? I had to cancel a couple things. I said, no, I'm doing my podcast. And
it's hard being the Don.
It is. But yeah, thank you for asking. I mean, how lucky am I to be so busy is my thing.
Yeah.
You know? What about you?
I'm not busy at all.
Oh, how lucky are you to not be busy?
Nobody's looking for me. I'm not holding any meetings. I would be a terrible Don if I were one.
Well, and we talk often about how you like don't listen to people. Like, can you imagine when they talk to you? Can you imagine having all those important meetings and being like, wait, what?
You're so right. I would receive like vital information. Somebody will be warning me that somebody's betraying me close to me, and I just won't remember it. I'll be like, huh? And yeah, I can tell you like the entire boot order to almost every Survivor season.
Yeah, you're so right. The information that you can keep in and have in your head compared to the information you refuse to let into your mind is mind-boggling. But
well, we're here today to talk about The Godfather Part II, released in 1974. This is also directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It won Best Picture at the 47th Academy Awards, which took place on April 8th, 1975.
The Godfather Part II follows Michael Corleone, starting to be the Don, as he struggles to expand his crime empire while losing his humanity, alongside flashbacks showing young Vito Corleone's rise from poor Sicilian immigrant to powerful mafia leader.
Dun, dun, dun.
And can I just say, like, what a cool concept of a movie. I had told you before this, like, we literally got a prequel and a sequel all in the same movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that was very cool. During the first movie, and just in general with, like, mafias, I was always like, how does that guy get to that place? Like, how did the mafia become the mafia? So it was cool to see that.
There's a few different things to set up here. This movie, very much like Our English Patient, we're going to be jumping between two different timelines here. One taking place in the past, following Vito Corleone. And then most of the action, though, takes place in present day, a few years later after the first Godfather and following Michael. And I did read that for Francis, the director, he really was just struck by this idea. He really wanted to tell a father and son story where they were both the same age and just sort of, you know, I think we're meant to absolutely sort of compare young Vito to present day Michael and compare this father and son duo and the actions they take. And you're right. There's layers to it because, you know, we got a lot in Godfather Part 1 about, you know, when Vito was sort of incapacitated and hospitalized, a lot of people were like, Vito wouldn't make this decision. Vito wouldn't do this, as Michael and Sonny were sort of like taking over and making decisions for the family. It was interesting in that aspect to see, okay, what was a young Vito? What decisions were he making? How does it differ, or how is it similar to what Michael is doing currently?
Again, we'll get into it, and I don't want to give too much away, but I do. I think just like we saw Michael come to power in the first movie, and now we're seeing Vito do it. We're seeing that how they both handle power and kind of what motivates them. And I think it's just a big story on power itself and family.
Yeah. So, you know, we are going to see, Francis, of course, is returning as director. Him and Mario Puzo return as screenwriters. We do have a few of our characters returning. So we are going to see Al Pacino coming back as Michael Corleone. Connie's going to be back. Kay Adams will be there. His brother Fredo and Tom Hagen, the advisor, are there. So, and then we have, yes, young Vito, played by a young Robert De Niro.
Very, very young. Like almost,
Yes.
If it wasn't for his mole, I wouldn't really have recognized him.
I was like, huh, him? Yeah, and I think Robert De Niro fits right at home in a Godfather movie.
I mean, he was so good in this movie. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool now that we know Robert De Niro from all of the other stuff he's done as like, the American actor in all the American films, like Meet the Fockers and, even the more serious stuff he's done. So cool. And I can't give him enough credit for this movie. I think it was perfect.
And he like almost exclusively speaks in Italian. Like I feel like
in Sicilian.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not a English speaking role for Robert De Niro. So, and then other sort of setup pieces here, The Godfather Part II is the first sequel to ever win Best Picture. It will not be the last because, of course, most recently, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
But it's the only sequel where its first movie also won.
Correct, yeah. So, and in fact, all three Godfathers were nominated for Best Picture, the entire trilogy. The third one does not win Best Picture, but...
Brad, are you going to watch the third one?
I'm of two minds. I do. The completionist in me wants to watch Part 3. I've heard that it was ill received when it came out, and then but there was like Francis did like a recut of it, and that I think is treated a little bit more favorably. But we'll get into it. There's some aspects of Part 2 I found frustrating that did not motivate me to want to watch Part 3. But yeah, and this is not the most recent trilogy also to all be nominated for Best Picture, because again, The Lord of the Rings, they were all three of them were nominated as well.
Oh,
so
I've never heard of them.
Okay, Carly, well. So any opportunity I can to mention the Lord of the Rings, I will take it. So, but it's very cool. I mean, bringing it back to the Godfathers, like 1 and 2 both winning Best Picture. Yeah, we have yet to see this ever occur ever again. And I think we can dive into this 3-hour epic.
3 hours and 20 minutes. Please don't discredit.
Carly, are you ready? Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Okay. We're going to start in the flashbacks. Like we do get like a quick visual of Michael Corleone, and it's kind of an artistic shot where he's just like engulfed in darkness around him, and these men are like kissing his hand. There's a lot of kissing going on in this movie. And then it leads us to like an empty chair, and then we see like the Godfather Part 2 like title. I do think that it's interesting, the idea that Michael sort of is like kind of lost in this dark abyss, kind of alone. I think that kind of visual gets set up right away, but we're going to go right back into the past to 1901. This is a time period Carla and I are very familiar with from the Best Picture winner. And this is Vito's childhood. We're going to get some like words on screen explaining to us.
Yeah, literal. They couldn't have laid it out any clearer.
Can't be any clearer. Vito is like a young 9-year-old living in the city of Corleone. And we learn that his last name was Andolini, not Corleone. And we learn that his father recently was murdered by a Don Ciccio. And his older brother Paolo like went off to like lead the charge to avenge his father. And so we open with like this funeral procession, and they're like trekking across like a Italian desert, I guess. I don't know. It looked, there was no Starbucks around, I'll tell you that.
Definitely a desert.
And then suddenly we just hear shots ring out. Pop, 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 pop. Everybody ducks. Everybody's like, ah.
It gave very 2020 America.
Yeah.
Like everyone runs, dives. Yeah.
I'm like, at a funeral? Crazy. And then there's just kind of this random woman off in the distance, and she's yelling out to Vito's mom. She's like, "It's Paolo! They killed Paolo!
They killed Paolo!"
So we get a sad shot of them discovering like Paolo's body. So now this Don Ciccio guy has killed both Vito's dad and his brother. So we're next going to see the mom and Vito have a meeting with Don Ciccio outside of his like little lavish Italian
resort,
house.
basically.
Yeah, basically. And she's like begging. She's like, "Look, you've killed my husband. You've killed my other son." She was like, "Please leave Vito alone. We're good. We're Gucci. Like, just leave us be."
Here's what she said. She said, and this was all in subtitles because they're speaking Sicilian, but she said, "You killed my husband because he wouldn't give in to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then his oldest son, Paolo, because he swore revenge."
Yeah.
And then she grabs Vito and says, But Vito is only 9 and dumb-witted. He never speaks. And is basically like, it's not worth it. Like, just leave him alone. And I think she even says, like, please spare him.
Please, he's dumb as fuck. Look
he's
at
dumb
him.
as fuck. Like, he's so dumb. Like, I swear, like, he's dumb. Don't. And then he says, he's like, I can't do that. When he's a man, he'll come back for revenge.
Yes.
He'll be a strong man someday, and he'll come back for revenge. And then the mom pays the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, it takes a turn here. She holds like a knife to his throat, this Don Ciccio. Vito like takes off, and she basically...
Not fast enough, to be honest.
Yeah, she was like, he like stops,
away.
looks back, and she's like, you dumb boy, run! You dumb
you
fuck!
Are dumb.
You
run!
are dumb! And of course, there's a bunch of bodyguards around, right? So like her threat with the knife doesn't lead anywhere, except for gun pointed at her chest, and boom, blown away. And Vito has to... He literally watches this happen right in front of him. And now he has lost his entire family to this Don Ciccio guy. Brutal stuff. We're finally going to see Vito sort of take off, run. And later that night, like all of Don Ciccio's men are like literally down the streets yelling for this boy. They are looking for him. They want the citizens to turn him over. They're like, if you're caught, hiding Vito, you're going to be guilty too, all of this stuff. So, and through the help of some kind strangers, young Vito is going to get put on a boat headed for America, and he is going to successfully escape this perilous position he has found himself in. So we're going to then, some time has passed, but we're going to see that boat arriving to exactly where you would expect it to be arriving. We're going to see the nice big Statue of Liberty, big swelling music, and
a boat just filled with people.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly how you picture the immigrant experience at that time. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is what the Statue of Liberty stood for, Ellis Island. Like, this is where your first entry point into America, this land of opportunity. And literally, like, Vito, even though he's like a child and 9 years old, he's treated like anybody else. He's like given a name he's given a little number and he's like in line, and they're like, he's got to go through like a customs, looking kind of deal. And he gets to the desk and they're just asking him questions about like, who are you? What are you doing here? And nobody stops to say like, oh wait, this is like a kid. Like, who are you?
Are you alone?
Who are you here with?
Yeah, nobody cares.
And there's translators around. So they're like, where are you from? And, Vito's able to communicate like he's from the city Corleone. And so they're basically like, great, you're now going to be Vito Corleone.
Corleone.
That's your new name.
Okay, Vito Corleone. It is this like New Yorker guy, and he's like, and there's like an interpreter there, and he's like, his name's Vito, and he's from Corleone. And then the customs guy's like, okay, his name's Vito Corleone. Next. And like stamps this thing, and like, and you do wonder, I mean, you always hear like, oh, when my great-grandfather came over, he changed his name, or, his name, blah, blah, blah. Like, you do wonder how often stuff like this happen. I'm sure more than we think. It was cool to see. And I just want to say, too, it was maybe 5 minutes he was at Ellis Island and this whole experience. But I'm like, why do we not have more movies on this? Like, it's such a part of history, this Ellis Island experience and immigrants coming over. And I don't know, I would love more art and film about the Ellis Island experience. But
yeah, I think you get less sort of like the arrival kind of storylines, and instead you kind of just see immigrants who have already made it here, and then whether their experience once they get here. But I think we do often kind of skip over like, what is the actual process of like getting into the country and being here and getting established. And even this film, I'm still not very clear on like what happened to young Vito once he sort of processed. I assume some sort of like foster care kind of system it seemed like he was being set up in. But
yeah, he was, and they said he had to quarantine for 3 months because he had smallpox, right?
Yeah.
So he like went through all these health checks, and then he's basically in this small room for like, or I don't know, this like house of boys for what I assume is 3 months. And then, he's put in this room all by himself. So the time from like quarantine when he was 9 years old to being a teenage that we see later when he's Vito Corleone, like, we don't really know what happened between there or how he found safety and all of that. But
I will say, like, for the listeners, like, in terms of how much screen time does the flashbacks get as opposed to the present day story, I would say like flashbacks probably make up like 30% of the whole movie. Like, they're not as frequent and they're not as long as what's happening in the present day. So yeah, that by the time we head back to these flashbacks, we're already going to see like Robert De Niro as like, maybe teens, maybe early 20s, sort of Vito Corleone. So yeah, I did have some questions. All right, well, let's head to present day, 1958. And I do believe this is a few years after Godfather Part 1. At one point, Kay Adams is going to say, like, you told me, like, just 5 more years and you were going to go legit. And she said that was 7 years ago. So
It's written on the screen. It says his grandson, Anthony Vito Corleone, First Communion. And then it said Lake Tahoe, Nevada, 1958. Yep. I was like, Nevada?
Yeah.
And because in my head, I'm like, oh, we're going to be in New York.
Right.
And I was like, Nevada. And right away, I was like, oh, duh, casinos. So I think it does. It like references back to the end of the last movie where it's like, oh, yeah, he's obviously in Nevada where casinos are what they're doing.
Yeah, we had speculated, what could Part 2 be about, right? And we did wonder, like, oh, what would the fallout be from Michael having made the decision to sort of take out all of the heads of the other 4 families. And included in that sort of massacre was this Mo Green guy, basically built Las Vegas, and they were trying to buy out some of his hotels, whatever, have property and stake in Las Vegas. And that Mo Green guy, he turned him down, and then he's the one getting a massage and getting shot through the eye at the end of Godfather Part 1. That's the part I wish I had maybe paid it more attention to, because apparently we're not going to deal with the 4 families at all in this film. And the casino thing was what was important at the end of Godfather 1. But before we get there, it's 1958, and it's Anthony's communion. And this is very similar to Godfather Part 1, where we started with the big elaborate set piece of Connie's wedding. This is a very similar kind of vibe of like, it's Anthony's communion. It's an outdoor sort of reception, and there's a ton of people there. Almost all the major characters of this film are going to be present here and make, appearances. So
yeah, and it had the same feel, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but Michael Corleone is taking meetings, like he's booked and busy at this event, and it's like, it's literally the start of the other movie. So I think it's a cool parallel because you see they're in a very similar place, and then as we continue, it gets very different, but I liked the start being something like this.
We mentioned her before, but Michael does have a mother, and she's here and present. And she even has like a quick scene with Connie, which I think is the first time The Godfather showed 2 women talking to each other.
100%. 100%.
So Connie shows up with a strange man named Merle. She's telling her mother, like, oh, she needs to talk to Michael. And she's basically like, get in line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Fredo, the brother, shows up. Now, Fredo, if you remember, he was sort of the one, he's older than Michael. But when Sonny died, Fredo completely skipped over here, kind of seen as a bumbling idiot, not having the sort of instincts to be able to run this organization, and it instead fell to Michael. And I realized seeing Fredo here in his little bow tie and his like mustache, I'm like, oh, Fredo is gay. Like, he's actually a gay character.
Oh, I mean, plus his wife is a complete hot mess. So.
Yes, that is the kind of woman you marry when you're gay, and you have yet to reckon with it.
Oh my gosh, Brad, I'm so glad we're talking, because I did not pick up on that, but you're right.
And that's why he doesn't have the smarts to be the Don. I'm like, there is no gay Don.
I'm sure there's a Reddit page out there. Fredo Corleone is gay.
And so Fredo has arrived. Of course, we saw him too at the end of Godfather Part 1. He was already like in the employ of the Mo Green, the casino guy. So Fredo definitely was a part of this casino storyline anyways. But here he is. And yeah, he has this wife, Deanna, and she's like this blonde, sort of ditzy. She's going to have a fun moment later in the night on the dance floor. And then we're going to get briefly introduced to a new character here in Frank Pentagli.
I don't know. Yeah, Frank.
Frank here. And at this communion, he's loaded. He is drunk as a skunk right now. And what's interesting is, we are missing one of our characters from the first movie, this guy Clemenza, who was one of the capos in the organization. Some negotiations fell apart with the actor who played Clemenza, but he was always meant to be a part of this story. And because the actor, whatever kind of deal fell through, Clemenza instead was sort of killed off screen in between 1 and 2 here.
Imagine being an actor and not agreeing to be in Godfather Part 2. Like, isn't that weird?
Yeah, and we'll get into it, but Marlon Brando was meant to make a cameo here, and he also not in this film at all. So basically, whatever storyline Clemenza was meant to have was given to this Frank guy, who's a bit older. He's definitely like in the Clemenza family or like connected to Clemenza. He makes a reference to Clemenza getting a heart attack, but he clearly doesn't believe it. He believes like Clemenza was killed for some other reason. And he wants to meet with Michael too, because he's dealing with an issue back in the Bronx. Kay Adams is there, although, you just kind of see her. You don't really hear from her a whole lot, but she's still with Michael. They apparently also have a second child, which I didn't realize there was a little girl deep into this movie. I was like, yeah. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but that's a lot of the setup. And we are going to see Michael in a very Vito-esque way, Don way. He's holding a bunch of meetings. Let's run through what some of these meetings are about. His first one that we see is with this senator guy, Pat Geary. And Pat here, he's not a fan of Michael. He's not intimidated by him at all. And basically saying like, hey, we noticed like you're buying up some of these casinos and I don't think you're getting the licenses that you need to run these casinos. And, you know, for a small little bribe, I'd be willing to overlook this. And then also makes it a point in his negotiation for a bribe to also insult all Italian Americans. He's like, Michael, you and your people, like, ugh.
It hurt to hear.
The senator guy's like, all right, Michael, you take the time you need. You let me know when you're ready. And he stands up and Michael's like, I'll tell you right now, you fuckface. The answer is no.
Yeah. He got down to business.
Senator's like,
And I do think this was kind of a parallel to the beginning of Godfather, where you kind of see like Vito Corleone did say no to like one of the first things we saw him, but he was very respectful. He like explained it. He's like, no, like this isn't how we work and blah, 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 but thanks for coming. And it was like just a different vibe. So I thought that was maybe a parallel they were trying to draw, but I liked even just picking it up myself. I was like, oh, so he handles things a little different.
I mentioned in our last episode that I'm like, oh, Al Pacino, I wish he gave me a little bit more in the face. I will say, like, as an actor, I think he really stepped up his pussy in this, in Godfather Part II.
Wait, we have to tell this story, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Brad and I watch RuPaul's Drag Race, as I'm sure a lot of people do. And something that the queens say a lot is, step my pussy up, right? Like, that's a thing that they say on there. Am I right? Like, that's a very common thing for the drag queens to say. I don't even think it's just RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, I think in culture, people say it. But my family watches very different things than I do. And so one time I was bowling with my family, and I was doing very poorly. And I was like, guys, I'm really sorry, but I know I need to step my pussy up. And the way my family looked at me, like I had just said the grossest thing in the whole entire world. And I was literally like, what? And they're like, hey, that's disgusting. So I just want to say out there, for anybody who uses that, please share, because it's not just an us thing. It's a very commonly known thing, but apparently the 3 family members I was bowling with are not familiar.
Total record scratch moment. The whole bowling alley stopped, stared at you, and you were forced out. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that in a very public place.
Yes, you're welcome.
Because I think more people need to start using it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I could use this platform to share the story.
Yeah. I mean, several characters in this movie needed to step their pussies up. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So, but yes, Michael, much more colder than I think we saw Vito kind of running these meetings. And he's next going to meet with a guy named Johnny Ola. And I clocked this as he walked in. An orange, somebody holding an orange. Yep. And apparently oranges are a big thing in Godfather movies. I think anytime that you see an orange on screen, and they said it was by accident in the first one, but anytime you saw an orange, it either meant it was like a sign that somebody in that scene was going to be killed or be a traitor of some sort. Some sort of betrayal was going to happen. Basically, the oranges are like this ominous sign. You know, Vito gets shot when he's like shopping for oranges out in the street, and Sonny drives by a billboard for orange juice before he's gunned down. And, you know, and so they said like this, they said it was coincidental in the first one and that they were going to more intentionally drop oranges here in part 2. And this is where at least I clocked it, the first orange that we see in this meeting with this Johnny Ola guy. And this Johnny guy, he's a new character, but he's here representing another sort of mob boss, Don guy, if you will. This guy named Hyman Roth. Roth is like based out of Miami, right? Down in Florida. And he's also very like old, sort of like ill health at this point, but still has a lot of power. You know, we talked about like the other 4 families. I got the vibe that like Roth represented just another family that wasn't necessarily under Don Corleone, but somebody not to be trifled with, somebody who had an organization of their own and just a powerful figure. And Johnny is here as his like representative, and Johnny and Roth, by extension, they're also involved in this casino business, and they're planning this like big casino deal where they're planning to drive out another guy and basically buy out this other casino and increasing your stake in Las Vegas and being like a major player in the Las Vegas scene. And Roth, through this Johnny Ola guy, like is supporting Michael, supporting these casino deals. And so for Michael, this is an important relationship for him to maintain because he knows the power that Roth has. And so again, Johnny's there with the orange, pledging loyalty. And I think you are meant to have some red flags here. If you're paying attention,
Yeah.
the orange is probably a signifier that, like, this is probably not all that's cracked up to be. We're then going to see Mike's next meeting. Connie finally makes it in to see her brother.
She has waited in line.
She's waited in line. She's done her time. And her and this Merle guy, again, Merle. And Michael is so unimpressed. Like, he treats Merle as if he's not even in the room.
Yeah.
And Connie is there because she needs money. She's like, I need a little bit of money. I'm trying to go on vacation with Merle here.
Well, and earlier when we saw Connie talking to her mom, she was very much like, Connie, like, what are you doing? Like, you're in town. You need to go visit your kids. Like, you can just tell Connie's kind of in a weird place in life where she needs to get her shit together and that nobody in the family is really, like, supporting her. So then we see her meeting with Michael and he has the very same tone. Yeah. He's literally like, have you even seen your kids, Connie?
For the listeners, remember, like, we left with Connie at the end of the first one being in an abusive relationship. Michael being the godfather to her child with Carlo, being at the baptism, and then Michael killing Carlo and Connie sort of confronting him. So that was really the last we saw Connie on screen. And so here we are, a few years removed. She's with a new guy, but yeah, she seems to be sort of, the film implies like she's neglecting her children and she's being treated with judgment by the other members of the Corleone family.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Connie does in this film. The journey that we're going to go on with Connie. I can't wait to see it all unfold in real time.
Can't wait.
And that's a serious wrap on Connie. I'm just kidding. No, I'll say it now. I was hopeful to see the women play more of a prominent role in Godfather Part II, and
we couldn't wait. That was our biggest hopes and dreams when we talked in our last episode. And to say that it doesn't come true is an understatement. But we do get some glimpses of the female characters, and this was one of them. Yeah,
so Michael basically lets her know, like, hey, like, this Merle guy's a joke. Like, if you marry this idiot, and he's, like, sitting right there.
Merle's right there.
You know, Michael is basically kind of, like, threatening her status in the family a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, if you come with me right now, I will set you up in a home. I will pay for whatever. I will get your boys, you know, in the best schools. But if you marry this guy, again, standing right there, you'll get none of that.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I don't really know.
No, literally the scene ends. The scene just ends.
Right.
And then they flash to the whole family and their spouses sitting at a table together. And I was like, so what does that mean? Did she say no? But we never really get a clear answer other than really the end of the movie. It kind of comes back around. But I mean, and Merle is still at the table. So you get a feeling that she said, no, don't worry about it, because Merle's at the table with the whole family in the next scene. So
the last meeting we're going to see Michael have is with this guy, Frank, the one who's kind of filling in for Clemenza here. And Frank kind of lays out what his issue is. And right now there's these two brothers, the Rosado brothers, are encroaching on his territory in the Bronx. And these Rosado guys are on the payroll of Roth. And Roth is that Miami mob boss dude who is supporting Michael's casino business deal. And Frank here is not a fan of Roth. He's not a fan of these Rosado brothers. He wants the Bronx back into his territory. And he's looking for Michael's support to help drive out these Rosado brothers. And Michael basically tells him no, because he needs the support of Roth for this casino business deal. So if he goes against these Rosado brothers who are on Roth's payroll, it's gonna ruin the deal. He doesn't really lay this all out to Frank and basically just tells Frank, no, suck it up, step your pussy up, go deal with it. and Frank is like, he's not happy about this and leaves the meeting upset. And so then we gotta cut to this night scene where they're all like, you know, people are out there dancing. We're going to get I thought a funny moment of Fredo's wife, Deanna. She's like dancing with some strange man, but she's so drunk herself and she's like falling over. And literally everyone at the table, like Michael included, he's like, you need to get her out of here. Like he's like sicking his bodyguards on this woman and like remove her from the public eye, please. Yeah. And Fredo is like absolutely embarrassed by his wife's behavior. Like he's not on her side at all. Is very much like, Deanna, you're embarrassing me. He's gay. And so we get that. We also get a nice like slow dance scene between Michael and Kay Adams. Finally, Kay gets to speak. And this is where she was given, you know, where I remember her saying like, you know, you said in 5 years you would clean this up and it's been 7 years. And he's like, I know. He's like, I promise. Like,
I'm trying.
We're going to go legit. Like, it's all going to be good. I promise you, Kay. And she really doesn't look super convinced.
Like, you had called out this specific line so much in the last movie. You were like, he said 5 years. And like the first thing we see with Kay is she's calling out this 5-year thing. Because he's like, sorry, I've been so busy and I had to take all these, I had to work so much today during our sons. And she's like, yeah, it made me think of what you once told me. You said in 5 years, the Corleone family will be completely legitimate. And she says, that was 7 years ago. And all he says was, I know, I'm trying. Yeah, I think in general, a good callback to the last movie. And I think we had hoped, and probably every viewer had hoped, that they'd be in a good place at the start of this movie, but you immediately get a sense of where this relationship is. Yeah. And then we learn that Kay is pregnant. Because he said, like, how's the baby? And she says, he's fine. It's fine. It's kicking inside me or something like that. Yeah, so she mentions it here, and it's just kind of like subtly mentioned.
Yeah, so things are a little bit tense. And honestly, to recap where we left off with Kay as well, right? Like, she demanded to know if what Connie was saying to Michael was true, if he really did have Carlo killed, and he lies to her and says, nope, that's not me. And then she
is shoved out of the room.
And she sees, men calling him Don and such. So that felt like an ominous ending to me. And I did not expect at all that they were going to be in a good place. And I think we start to get clues to that here in this conversation. And later that night, we're going to see them in their room. And so we get the sense that Michael is not really prioritizing his family over the family business. And Kay, that don't impress her much. So.
Oh, Brad, I loved that. Okay, that was hot. That don't impress her much.
All this good times are interrupted by gunshots. This room is lit up.
Oh, it's like the toll booth all over again.
Yes.
Yeah, bullets just light up their bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever seen, Charlie's Angels, the good one, it's like when Lucy's Loose trailer is just absolutely lit up and she gets up on the ceiling and she dodges all of it. There's none of that cool stuff here.
You're so right, but it had the same vibes.
Yes. So this is pretty nuts. Kay's in the room as well. She does survive. It's a Best Picture winner, so be careful. Watch out, ladies.
I will say, though, I wrote, I don't think we said it, though, but right at the beginning when Vito's mom is murdered, I was like, oh, there we go. Best Picture winner, add her to the in memoriam. Yeah. Yep.
So they survive this attack, and with all the bodyguards that Michael has, all the security, everything, like how could they have gotten so close, right? And literally it's nighttime and everybody's mobilized out there searching, and Michael has a conversation with Tom, and he's like, whoever did this, like, has to be in the family. Somebody in the family betrayed me. And even if you find who the shooters are, they're going to be dead somewhere nearby because whoever betrayed me would have killed them both.
Would have killed them.
And remember, to recap where we left off with Tom, he was the advisor to Vito until Michael took over. And Michael basically demoted him to lawyer, basically kind of iced him out. And you see it a few times in these meetings earlier in the day where sometimes Tom gets to be in the room and then other times Michael's like, Tom, can you go outside now?
He kind of has to bite his tongue. You can see he's like, okay, yeah, I'll go.
And in this conversation, I thought it was interesting, I think, and also a little maybe manipulative. I don't know how genuine Michael is being, but he was like, Tom, I've always viewed you as a brother. And Tom literally is like, I've always wanted you to see me as a brother. He was a bit of an adopted son for Vito and, became his advisor. But it's a little bit like a Jon Snow situation, in Game of Thrones of like, you're in the family, but you're not really a part of the family, and treated as such. And so I think to hear Michael call him a brother, like, means a lot to Tom. But I wondered how genuine that was from Michael.
Brad, this whole conversation, I'm like, is he going to kill Tom? Like,
right.
I was so confused. Like, just his tone and the way that this conversation was happening, I was like, yes, is this genuine or is this a tricksy thing?
Because he's also asking Tom to, like, find out who the traitor is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like buttering him up and also making a request at the same time. And Tom's like, yes, of course I'm on it. I'm going to crack the case, And because we have a lot of reason to believe, like, Michael is not... He's not the same guy we saw in 1945 at Connie's wedding. Like, he really has gone through a shift here. So we're going to step away from that and head to our flashbacks. It's time to bring Robert De Niro into the story officially. He's living in little Sicily in New York City. Okay.
Yeah, it was Little Italy.
You know what we're talking about. You know the area.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, he is already presumably married. And little baby Sonny is there. A little infant crying. All of that is already established. And really, we see Vito in, like, humble beginnings here. Like, they're not in a lavish place, right? Like, it's very small little New York City apartment. They're probably being charged out the wazoo for rent. And this like Little Italy area is being ran by a Don itself, this Don Fanucci guy. And he's sort of like, he kind of just rules with an iron fist. He intimidates the people around him. And we're going to see like Vito has like a job working at like a grocerer. And we're going to see Don Fanucci coming in with like his like nephew or cousin or whoever. And basically bullies the shopkeeper, the grocery store manager, to hire his nephew. And this leads to Vito being fired.
But he also is like weirdly understanding. He's like, yeah, I get it. Like, you have to fire me. And he's like, yeah, sorry. He's like,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting characterization. Like this Vito feels more innocent, more happy, hopeful. Like later that night when they're in their apartment, they're like getting like taps at the window or whatever. And so he goes over and we're going to find out that Clemenza, the guy that they did not bring back for part 2. He's here in the flashbacks though as like a neighbor. And this is how Vito and Clemenza first met each other. Right. And this Clemenza guy is like, here's all these guns I have. Can you hide these for me? And like throws
stranger.
it between windows. And Vito guy's like, oh golly gee, yeah, I will. I'll hide these for you. So we're going to get sort of this budding friendship between Vito and Clemenza. And Clemenza is like kind of the snake in the garden here, the bad influence for Vito. Because he's like, hey, like what if we like broke into this like, or infiltrated this rich people's home and we like stole a bunch of stuff from them. And Vito's like, insane, I love it. Let's go. And so we see them like infiltrate this like rich person's home, and then they like steal a rug. They like really want this rug. They really want this
all
rug.
The fucking things.
They're like, oh yeah, Vito's like, my wife would love that rug. Let's get it. And that's kind of where we end the first flashback scene. So then let's head back to present day. We're going to see Michael have 2 meetings. I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to see him fly out to Florida, and he's going to meet with Roth. Michael, again, sort of reinforcing the relationship with Roth. Thank you so much for your loyalty with this like casino deal. And I just want to let you know, though, that, you know, an attempt was made on my life, you know, at my son's communion. And I believe it was this Frank guy. You know, Frank has beef with your Rosado brothers, like these guys that are on your payroll. And I wouldn't help him with that because I'm so loyal to you, Rothy. And Roth's like, you know, dying of cough or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, makes total sense. It definitely was that Frank guy. I completely agree with you. And we're then going to see like Michael meet with Frank. Yeah. And he's going to go to Frank and he's going to be like, hey, Frank, like there was an attempt made on my life, as you know. And it was this Roth guy, Roth tried to kill me. And Frank's like, I fucking knew it. That fucking snake.
This was the first time to me, I'm like, oh, this is juicy. I wrote, like, using information, you know, the request, Pentangeli's request against him. Yeah. And then the fact that he flew home and did the same thing, I was like, ooh, this is kind of good. Yeah, it makes you immediately question, like, who is Michael being truthful with? Yeah. And so kind of gassing Frank up here of, like, Roth is the snake. Those are Rosado brothers. They suck. And Michael proposes a meeting between Frank and the Rosado brothers. He was like, you need to meet with them and get them out of the Bronx. So then we're going to see the scene in the Bronx where Frank meets up with them at this like abandoned bar where, nothing good happens at any abandoned bar in the Godfather movies. And Frank gets in there and literally we saw the same thing happen in Godfather Part 1 where sitting at a bar and suddenly a wire around your throat and they're like choking you out. And so these Rosado brothers like were clearly like trying to kill off Frank here, but by coincidence or fate or whatever, a cop walks in and interrupts the whole business. And the Rosado brothers like take off. Frank survives this, but what's important is the person that comes up with the garrote says, Michael Corleone says hello. The fact that he said it, I think was interesting. And then that the fact that he lived and this hitman just said this, I think is like, oof. But yes, very much like Frank does survive this. And he believes that Michael betrayed him by setting up this meeting. We are going to get a quick scene though of Fredo at home, like waking up in the morning. They got like black silk sheets that they're sleeping on. Like it's very like vampiric in there, which makes me think maybe Fredo is not the gay interior decorator. But he gets a phone call and he answers it, and it's Johnny Ola, Roth's number one man. And Johnny Ola is like speaking to him as if they have some sort of relationship here. And Fredo's like revealed as our traitor. Yep. I was like, I know, I did not see that coming.
Neither did I, because I'm like, Fredo was not a huge part of Godfather Part 1.
No.
And so I did not know what direction they could do with a character like Fredo in Part 2. But turns out he's a rat.
Fredo's a rat.
A gay rat.
Like, it really was maybe a 90-second scene of him taking this phone call, and then we cut away. So it was literally just for the viewers to see that, again, so we know something that Michael doesn't know. Fredo's the rat.
Fredo's the rat. Then we got to check in with, we said at the beginning, Michael met with this senator guy. We do get a quick scene at this brothel. The senator, again, this is the guy who was a dick to Michael, who was trying to get a bribe out of him. And we're kind of dropped into the middle of the scene where something has occurred, and Tom is showing up because I guess this brothel's ran by Fredo, so it's connected to the Corleone family, and the senator is having a real bad night because there's a dead prostitute in his bed, and he's like, I blacked out, I didn't know, and Tom listens to all this, and Tom's like, hey, we'll clean this up for you, we'll take care of this for you, no big deal, and as long as you just pledge your undying loyalty to us and the Corleone family and to Michael. And the senator's like, absolutely, I love Italian Americans.
Love.
It's not really spelled out for us, but Tom, they absolutely staged this. They killed this prostitute and then made the senator believe that he did it, all to sort of get loyalty out of him. So he'll drop this license business, so on and so forth. But now we need to move away from Lake Tahoe, from New York City, because we're going to Havana, na. We're heading off to Cuba.
Havana, na.
We're going to Cuba. And this is Cuba in the late 1950s. And they are in full-on revolution. We are really at the end, actually, of the Cuban Revolution, where the citizens are rebelling in order to sort of remove this Cuban dictator, Batista, from power and take back what's theirs. And so this is where Michael and Roth are heading for some business deals, of course. Roth is very entrenched in the Cuban government here and working with this Cuban dictator guy for a lot of their business. And he's trying to get Michael to basically throw his chips in, be a part of this business deal. Michael, though, he's kind of seeing what's going on in the streets. There's just constant sort of rebellion activity going on here. And
something's going on.
He's got some reservations about I think the rebels are going to win this. You're saying Batista's that he's going to squash this, whatever. He'll be fine and business can continue. But Michael's like, I don't think so. I think your guy's losing, dude.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Michael's really giving Roth the side eye a lot in these scenes because again, he suspects that Roth tried to have him killed and almost got Kay killed too, in this attempt. Yeah. And he believes that Roth is behind it. And we're going to see Fredo arrive to Havana, na. And Fredo's got a big briefcase full of cash or whatever. The No Country for Old Men are looking for that money. And Michael is like, oh, I'm sure you know Roth. And here's this friend, Johnny Ola. Do you know him? And Fredo's like, I've never seen these men in my life. Nope.
Completely unfamiliar.
We get this important scene between Michael and Roth. Again, Roth is not doing well. There's a nurse checking on him every other scene at this point. He's also shirtless a lot. He's an 80-year-old man.
Oh my God, I was wondering if you liked that because we saw a very hairy chest.
I'll tell you off pod.
But yeah, we'll talk later.
And Michael talks to Roth and he's like, I want to know who ordered the hit on Frank. And this is why, you brought up those Rosado brothers, specifically name dropping Michael here. I think this is our clue that Roth's men intentionally sort of made it seem Michael betrayed you, Frank. And again, Michael believes Frank is dead. And so he's asking Roth point blank, who ordered the hit on Frank? And Roth is like, I don't like your fucking question. I don't like your tone. And he goes into this monologue where we learn that he has this childhood friend he grew up with. And that childhood friend, his name was Mo Green. Mo motherfucking Green.
Mo motherfucking Green.
And he basically built Las Vegas up from nothing. He was Vegas, bitch. And then he goes and gets a massage and gets shot in the fucking face. And he's like, and who did that?
What? This is brand new information.
And Roth is like, I could be going around asking, well, who killed Mo? My childhood friend, Mo Green. Who killed Mo? But I don't. I just move forward. And
Michael's like, I would like to keep this off the record and
off
we
the
can
pod.
Talk about this off the pod.
And so things are getting a little tense, but it's New Year's Eve. So we gotta go party. And we're gonna see Michael and Fredo and some other rich white guys who are also in Havana. No. They like go to this club or whatever. I don't know. But Fredo gets a little too drunk.
Fredo's not okay.
Fredo's not okay. Had a little too much to drink. And they're at this crazy club. And one of these white guys are like, Fredo, like, how do you even know about a place like this? And he was like, oh, my good friend Johnny Ola told me about it. Just very brazenly
just says it,
admits it in front of Michael that he knows Johnny Ola, and flat out told Michael, no, I don't know who that is. And you just see it on Michael's face. Camera zooms in and Michael knows the truth. He knows what Fredo has done. They're going to get away from the club and they're going to instead go to this like classier place. This like, it looks like a ball of some sort, but this is like put on by the Cuban dictator guy, Batista. It's his shindig or whatever. While we see sort of Michael, very kind of similar to the end of Godfather 1, while he's out here at this party, we're going to cut away to an assassin guy, and we're going to see him kill Johnny Ola. Series wrap on Johnny Ola.
Series wrap.
And by this point, Roth is not at this like New Year's Eve bash because he's like hospitalized, because again, he's dying of cough or whatever. And so the assassin guy heads off to the hospital, sneaking around, and is going to take out Roth. But unfortunately, this assassin guy done goofed. And he does not successfully take out Roth. Instead, he gets killed because he's an idiot. Series wrap on bad assassin guy.
That assassin guy.
And so Michael set this up, obviously. This is Michael's assassin. Meanwhile, Michael and Fredo are both at this regatta gala. And
a regatta gala.
And the whole time, Michael's like, Fredo, what's going on? You seem a little nervous. You seem a little unlike yourself. And Fredo's like, no, me? No, Michael, I didn't betray you. I mean, what? And I don't know, the ball's like dropping or whatever. And Michael just grabs Fredo by the face, kisses him full on the lips, and says, I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
You broke my heart.
I think that's like probably the most memorable scene, I think.
Of The Godfather Part II.
I think so. I feel like I knew that line. Even though Fredo being a traitor was all like a revelation to me watching this film, I was like, I feel like I have heard that. I knew it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. And things kind of descended to chaos because our dictator guy goes up to the podium and he's like, hey, turns out the rebels are winning and I got to like flee town. I just got to leave Havana. No.
Every time.
And so it is like we're getting all these different shots of like just pandemonium on the streets, like full on looting. Like it's a full on sort of like, it's like your favorite football team like has won the game and they're all on the streets.
God, you're so right.
This was Cleveland in the summer of 2016. Like,
oof, that's so hot.
And so Michael has revealed this to Fredo. And again, it's all sort of chaos. And Roth has survived. He's going to get off the island. They all basically are going to escape Cuba separately, though. And at one point, Michael does see Fredo on the street. And he's like, Fredo, you're still my brother. I got a plane. Like, let's go. And Fredo kind of looks at him and he's like, bye. Please.
I'm no dummy. But he is. He's like, this is the safest way. Fredo, get in the fucking car. And he just kind of looks at him and walks away. So I kind of think it was a good survival instinct by Fredo, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But it probably was just safer to just pass on the Uber to the airport.
Fredo is terrified, right? And and we don't know the full story yet, right? Like we just know that he had a connection to Johnny Ola and to Roth, right? And we now have reason to believe, like, for sure Roth tried to have Michael killed here. But we don't know Fredo's side of it yet.
It kind of gave end of Godfather 1 when he's like, Carlo, I know you did this to me, and at first he's like, I'm not going to kill you, like, don't worry. And then we obviously know how that ends up. So I think we know Michael and what he's capable of. So I think even as the viewers, we're like, it's not a good idea.
This does pose an interesting dilemma for Michael, like we saw what he did to all of his enemies at the end of Godfather Part 1. Very easily had them all taken out. Anybody that opposed him, this is how Michael handled things. And again, we heard a lot from characters of like, Vito wouldn't have done it this way.
Yeah.
We knew that Vito was suspecting Barzini, but it's not like Vito suddenly ordered hits on the entire Barzini family. And yet this is how Michael sort of handles things. So before we head back to our flashbacks, though, we do check in on Kay Adams and we check in on Tom. And again, I'm disappointed by how little we see Kay, but we do get a quick scene somewhere during this time frame where she tries to like leave the house and she's literally barred from doing so. And Tom is just there basically like, sorry, like Michael won't let you leave. It's for your safety. And she is like fucking fed up.
She's like, so what? I'm a prisoner now?
Yeah, exactly. And when we see Michael return from Cuba, he meets with Tom, and Tom's sort of like, hey, like Roth survived and he's pissed. And also, not to kick you while you're down, but there's something about Kay. She had a miscarriage. She lost the baby.
And the first thing Michael says is, was it a boy?
Was it a boy? And Tom was like, it was like 3 months, dude.
He's like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, it says a lot, though, like, what his first question was. Not, is Kay okay? Or what happened? It was literally, okay, was it a boy, though? Which earlier, when they were dancing, and he's like, how's that baby? And she's like, good, just growing inside me. And he's like, does it feel like it's a boy? And she's like, I don't know, Michael. Like, it's a little too early. So this is the second time that he's like, was it a boy, though? So
it's so bizarre because you already have a son. Like, you have
a son.
You have Anthony Corleone.
Anthony Corleone.
You assume it has to be about succession, right? But like, it's just kind of weird.
This comes back around later, but there was a scene earlier where Michael and Anthony are talking. Anthony's like in bed and he goes and he's like, I got your drawing, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm going to go away for a while. And Anthony's like, well, can I come with you? And he's like, no, you can't come with me. And something just was off about Anthony. And I was like, maybe it's just weird. Like, maybe I'm picking up something. But then the more that he's like, is it a boy? Is it a boy? I actually Googled. I'm like, what's wrong with Anthony Corleone? And later we do get more kind of context between Michael and Kay. And they kind of bring up like about Anthony. But it does seem like, and I read there was more in the script with Anthony before that was left out, but apparently Anthony's just, I mean, he obviously in the first movie he saw his grandfather die right in front of him, and he just kind of kept playing around his dead grandfather. And I'm sure over the last however many years, like he's seen a lot, he's done a lot. So like Anthony's not all there, or he's just struggling a lot with things that he's seen, and he's only like 9 years old, basically. So I think we start to get this picture, and the more that he asks about, is it a boy, you're like, okay, something's off with Anthony Corleone, but still, it is. I had the same thing. I'm like, you already have a boy. Like,
it's frustrating hearing that because I would have loved for this interpersonal family drama to be a part of your 3 hours and 20-minute movie.
100%. I know.
But let's head back to our flashbacks. It's a bit of a time jump. And Vito and Clemenza have a full-on sort of like robbery business, and they have a third friend, Tessio, and Tessio was also a character we saw in Godfather Part 1, one of the other capos with Clemenza, and Tessio was the big traitor at the end of Godfather Part 1, who was also killed off by Michael on his big day of massacre. So, but here we see a young Tessio, and now you can start to see the foundation, the building blocks to Vito's organization and his family. And my understanding is they steal dresses and then they like sell them. Yeah. And Vito's kind of like a Uber driver now or something. I don't know. He like at one point is driving the big Don Fanucci around, and Fanucci like makes it aware, like he's aware of this business, the selling the dresses, and he wants a cut of the pay. He wants like $200. And Vito agrees to Don Fanucci's face, and then has this like private meeting with Tessio and Clemenza. And they're like, well, if he wants $200, we got to do it. He's like a scary dude. And Vito is the only one in the room that's like, what if we didn't though? What if we gave him $100? And Clemenza and Tessio are like, you can do that.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that, Vito?
Okay, crazy.
Okay, crazy eyes.
Yeah, you asked.
Step down, your pussy. You're stepping up a little too much. And we're going to see Vito do what he says. He's going to meet with Fanucci, and he's going to sort of enter this like bartering negotiation of like, I'm going to give you $100. And Fanucci's like, you're crazy and I love it.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
You know what, you son of a bitch? I love it.
And there's a huge sort of like festival going on out on the street. Fanucci, we're going to see him like leave this meeting with Vito, and he's like, you know, go watch the puppet show. He's going to be like, hey, walking down the streets, whatever, and having just a grand old time. And interestingly, we're going to see Vito start to follow Don Fanucci. He's literally up on the rooftops like he's Batman, just like going from building to building, keeping an eye on Don Fanucci. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure.
I know what's going on.
I'm like, Vito, you got what you wanted. And we're going to see Vito get into Don Fanucci's apartment building. And he's going to like unscrew a light bulb and like be in the stairwell as Fanucci like gets into his building. He's like huffing and puffing up the stairs. You know, there's no elevator here. You know, gets to his apartment door and opens the door and suddenly like turns around, like senses a presence, turns around to like close the door. And there's Vito. Gun out.
Wrapped in a towel.
Yes, wrapped in a towel.
His whole hand and gun are wrapped in a towel. It's like the before silencers, he made a towel silencer. But yeah, just bang.
Bang, bang into the room. I get the sense that Vito kills Fanucci because he felt like he could. Like there's like an element of like, because Fanucci agreed to just take $100 or whatever, like the fact that he was able to have power over Fanucci translated to him like, well, then he's just like any other man. Like, I'm actually more powerful than him. Kills Fanucci is kind of how he took it. It does kind of seem like an abrupt shift for Vito. I would have liked to see things escalate a little bit more from robbery to like other petty crimes to like full on
like Fanucci
murder.
Almost taking advantage of Vito a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe Vito just got like already kind of saw that in the writing. Like, okay, this guy is going to start using me, or, you know, I basically am on his side now, and it's not going to go well for me in the end. I don't know. I kind of wondered the same thing. I'm like, you just made a friend with this very, very powerful man, and now you're going to murder him.
Now, with Don Fanucci leaving this power vacuum, it's clear that Vito has filled this power vacuum into Little Italy. And we're going to start to see like just random citizens like coming to him, asking him for help. And this is like very much what we got established in the beginning of Godfather Part 1. Like, this woman, her rent is too high. So now he's going to go and like, and we see sort of like a bribe / threaten of this like landlord to cut it out with the rent. And we're going to see this guy like first tell off Vito until suddenly he's got money in his hands and he's like dollar signs are in his eyes. Like, oh, and they've like taken over the grocer, the one that Vito was like fired. Like suddenly that's his place of business. He got a little desk all set up and everything. So all of this is like the rise of Vito's power, if you will. Like it's officially being established. He's now a figurehead of the community. People are coming to him for favors, and he's buying out their loyalty.
I loved these little crimes to start, or these little things to start. Like, you know, oh, this lady is being taken advantage of, and he goes and fixes it. And I mean, something like this. And like I said, I had always been like, how does like a mob boss become a mob boss? You know, like how does that happen? And it was cool to see these little teeny things, which you also saw the origination of probably this whole like Little Sicily area is like everyone has just come here. Everyone has kind of grown together from basically nothing. So you kind of see like in a community like this, how power can just snowball in a way. I also will say, and I know that Robert De Niro did a lot of studying on Marlon Brando and how to kind of emulate him.
The voice.
Yes, I said in this scene, he is starting to look and talk and act just like Marlon Brando. So I think it was, again, Robert De Niro just can't say enough how good he was in this movie.
We're going to have just one more flashback, really, with Vito, and we're going to cut to present time, where Roth has healed enough from his trip to Cuba. He's like rallied the troops. He's rallied all of his senator political friends. And there's now going to be a formal investigation into the Corleone family. This whole Senate committee hearing is going to take place. And members of the Corleone family are going to be brought in. And this is all Roth's doing as retaliation to sort of expose the Corleones, and he's going to take out his enemies in a legal way. And Michael is brought into the Senate hearing and officially has to give his testimony. And they question him about like, hey, like a couple of years ago, like 7 guys like died, were just killed publicly. Did you have anything to do with that? And Michael's like, me? do I look like the kind of guy? I was at the baptism.
Little old me? Yeah, I was becoming a godfather at my baptism. Heck no.
Flat out denies everything. He does have Tom there sitting next to him as his lawyer. And also on the Senate hearing committee is our senator guy, the one that believed he killed a prostitute or whatever. So he is there and trying to sort of subtly, you know, show support for Michael. And we're going to come to find out that the prosecution, though, they have a killer witness. And it's Frank. He's back in the story. And we're going to see Michael and Tom have a conversation about this. They were like, fuck, like Frank's alive. And this is where they find out that Frank's been alive the whole time. And with the FBI and like witness protection, his testimony will absolutely put the nail in Michael's coffin, And Michael and Tom are talking about this and they're like, oh shit, like Ross got us, like checkmate,
Yeah.
And so, we start to see Frank. He's getting like prepared. He is in the courtroom or whatever this room is. And right before he's going to begin his testimony, a couple of things occur. One, our senator guy, the one that's being blackmailed, essentially, he stands up and he's like, I just want it on the record that I love Italian Americans. They are the backbone of this country. And they're the most amazing people on earth. Okay, I can't stay. I got to go somewhere. I got to go. But
I got to go.
Good luck. Love Italians.
Love Italians, by the way. Okay, bye.
And that's like serious rap on the senator.
Yeah.
The second thing that occurs, Michael and Tom walk in with this like random old man that we've never seen before. And Frank kind of looks back and sees them. And he's like, we come to find out that this random old man is Frank's brother. They literally got him all the way from Sicily. Brought him all the way here. I'm not sure exactly what happened in Frank's mind in this moment. I don't know if he viewed that and it was like, oh, Michael's subtly like threatening my brother if I do this, is what I believe is happening here. But the Senate is like, Frank, give it to us straight. It's time on the record. Tell us about the Corleone family. And Frank goes, they're good people.
Yeah, I love them.
And the senators are all, they're like, are you fucking kidding me? This is completely against what you just told us. But the senators are all pissed. This killed all the momentum. And this really kind of ends the legal storyline arc, if you will.
Yeah.
And Michael gets away with it.
You and I had talked about this before we started recording, but like this whole Senate trial thing was really a beeline plot, I would say, to the movie, although it does tie into a lot of the main things. But in my head, because I think everyone's always kind of like, how do these like guys just get to do all this crime and they just get away with it all the time, And so it was kind of nice to see like the justice system trying to hold them responsible. And then of course they outsmarted them. But I do think in a way, like, I don't know if it needed to be in the movie, but I do think it was a good like B plot to kind of show also how, and maybe it's just the difference of times, but like Michael, the way he's doing things hasn't been clean all the way across. Like they are getting investigated. They are getting in some, hot water. So that might kind of play into that. But I thought it was like an interesting part to the movie and why they included it. I thought a lot on that as well.
Yeah, it definitely adds a layer of realism. And we talked about too, was to see Michael have an adversary of some sort of challenger. And the answer to that is this Roth guy and this court scene, if you will, like, I don't know. It's definitely one approach. It surprised me because it does add that layer of realism to it, but also like I can see viewers being like bored with it too. Like they want the gunfight out on the streets, right? They want the big confrontation. I was kind of two minds about it. So having survived this legal attack, we are going to see this scene, Michael and Fredo at his home. Fredo has reemerged back to the story.
You almost get the feeling with the next couple scenes that like Michael took care of that and now he's like, I have to go home and clean up some stuff. You know?
Exactly.
So I almost feel like he's like, okay, now that that's taken care of, then we see him come back and deal with some family things. So we see him first talk with Fredo.
Fredo finally kind of gets his side of the story where he was like, hey, like Johnny Ola approached me. He said like, I don't know. Like he never said he was going to put a hit out on you. Like I never knew about that part. Michael is pissed though. And we do wonder like, okay, like this is your actual family. What is Michael going to do here? And he basically disowns Fredo. He's like, you're done. You're out of here. I never want to see you again. When you come to visit our mother, I need to know in advance so that I can
2 days in advance so I can not be there. Well, and we get some, I think, good context from Fredo in this. And I think Mike at one point was like, I've always done everything I can to take care of you.
Yes, yeah.
And he says, take care of me? Like, you're my kid brother and you're supposed to take care of me? Yeah, it was a good conversation that I think got a lot of emotions out. And again, this whole scene maybe lasted 2.5 minutes. So I would have liked a little bit more context and, of this like dialogue. But it did answer some questions and get some kind of emotions out. But yeah, like you said, when it ends, he's like, okay, kind of how the Carlo thing ended. He's like, you're not my brother anymore. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. When you see my mom, tell me ahead of time so I can be away.
And we see him tell his like bodyguards, like, hey, nobody lays a hand on Fredo until my mother is dead.
Yep.
And so that's the first sort of interpersonal scene that we're going to get. The next one is going to be with Kay. And Kay walks in and she's like, I'm packing my bags. I'm leaving you. This pussy don't pop for you. And he's like, what are you talking about? And Kay lays it all out there. Is like, you are never here anymore. You're never with your children. You treat me like shit. You treat me like a prisoner in my own home. And don't even get me started on Anthony. You know about Anthony. This is where, like, we're getting some more clues here. She's like, all of his friends are your button boys, basically like his hitmen. Like, he doesn't have friends his own age. Like, and this gets heated. This gets hot.
Very hot.
Michael is fuming. They are screaming at each other. And from Michael's perspective, it's like, no, your loyalty is to me. He cannot take the Don hat off. And he can't see Kay for Kay anymore. Because in his mind, like, her leaving him is like a blow to his own ego. It's like a blow to his own power. What would it mean for a Don as powerful as Michael, for his own wife to walk out with him and his children? Like, it sends a message that anybody could do this to Michael.
We had seen I think it might have been right before the Fredo scene. He kind of comes home and sees Kay in the room, and like he almost can't even look at her. Like, like he looks at her, she's sitting in there like sewing, and then he like turns away. So, and then you get to this scene where he's like, oh no, but like he's like disgusted with Kay, and he doesn't really know what to do, what to say. And then you probably are going to get to this, but he's like, is this about the miscarriage? And Kay very strongly and badassly says, you still think it was a miscarriage, you dumb bitch? It was an abortion, Michael. It was a son, and I had it killed so that this would all end. What a iconic moment. And everything's just silent.
Silent. And then Michael hits her.
Completely punches her,
knocks her
straight
down
in the face, knocks her down.
And the scene ends. We cut the flashback.
And the scene ends. Yeah, exactly. It was
I couldn't
disgusting.
believe. I loved this scene here. I'm very frustrated that it did not feel earned because we did not build up to it. You know what I mean? Like, the movie did not do enough for me to really, this should have been the biggest moment of the entire film. And then he hits her and we just fade to black, cut to flashback. Like, so I have a little bit more thoughts about that, but it's our final flashback scene. Vito has his entire family. All the kids are born and they go on a trip to Sicily.
Ooh.
And they're back in the city of Corleone. And this is not just a vacation, though.
It's a business trip of sorts.
It's a business trip. We're going to see Vito arriving to Don Kiccio's resort. And this Don, who we saw as like an old man in 1901, this ancient motherfucker.
Yeah, he's not doing well.
He's like wheelchair bound, like barely there cognitively. And I don't even know like the pretense that set this meeting up or, you know, what Vito did to get in there. But he gets this audience with Don Kiccio, the guy who murdered his entire immediate family at the beginning of the film. And this Kiccio guy is like, oh, I'm so old. He was like, who are you? What's your name? And Vito's like, oh, my name is Vito Andolini.
Andolini.
And this old guy's like, what'd you say? Come closer. Please, I'm
so
old.
old.
I'm old and ancient. And so Vito gets down real close and goes,
my name is Vito
Andolini.
Andolini. My father's name
was so-and-so Andolini.
My father's name was Antonio Andolini, and this is for you. Pulls out a knife and slices him across the stomach.
Brutal.
Series wrap on Kiccio.
On old man. Yeah, absolutely just eviscerates him with a knife. And flees like he once did as a 9-year-old and gets out of there. And then, it's just like a nice little shot of him and his whole family enjoying Italy and
just happy. And now it's a vacation.
And so this is absolutely sort of like his rise to power, right? This is the encapsulation. And I think what's visually striking, especially when we get to the end of this film and Michael, is he's surrounded by all the people he loves. He has his entire family and people loyal to him. And he's not alone at all, Vito. Like, he has everything. We're going to cut back to present day. Series wrap on Robert De Niro. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, that is the end of the flashbacks, like you said.
And some time has passed. I think 1 year has passed since we saw the Michael K fight. And Mama Corleone, she dead.
Wow.
She died.
Rip.
She died, dude.
She died.
Uh-oh. What could this mean? Because we heard Michael say, don't lay a hand on Fredo unless Mama Corleone is dead. And guess what? She dead. So
She's dead.
we have a big kind of funeral scene. This is where Connie shows back up into the story. But with no Merle. I don't think no Merle. And Kay is also not present here, but the kids are, Anthony and this little girl, Mary, who just popped up out of nowhere. So things are pretty down, of course. It's a funeral. And and Fredo is around, but of course, Michael won't be in the same room as him. But Connie does have this talk with Michael about, like, you need to forgive Fredo. You need to, this is it. This is all we have left. It's me, it's you, it's Fredo. Like, that's it.
Come on, he didn't mean to almost kill you. She is, though. She's like, it's time. Please.
And then we're going to see Michael and Fredo in the same room. And Michael goes over and hugs him. Aww.
And I was like, what?
It was a weird, awkward hug for sure. Because Michael doesn't seem really into it, but he's doing it. And Fredo is like a lot more like, oh, you forgive me, and very much into the hug. And this all kind of leads to kind of like a montage of sorts. We're going to cut it between a few different scenes. We're going to learn some like business to-dos. We're going to learn that like Roth tried to flee back to Israel, but they sort of denied him entry. And so now he's kind of like trapped in an airport somewhere. And so Michael's going to dispatch one of his guys to go handle Roth. We're going to see a nice scene between Fredo and Anthony, the troubled little boy that we know nothing about. They like bond over fishing, and Fredo's tells them, like, when my dad took me out fishing, like, I caught a fish every single time I said a Hail Mary, and I always caught a fish. And that was a nice scene, apparently between two members of the Corleone family that are misunderstood or kind of treated as outsiders. And we're also going to see Kay. Kay is going to come and pick up her children. And this is another interesting Anthony moment as well, because, she's picking them up from the funeral, and she's like, Anthony, come on, give your mother a kiss. And he's just like not into her at all, like very cold. Yeah. And she's a little distressed about it. And Connie is there and she's like, girl, Michael's coming. You need to get out of here. You in danger, girl. Get the kids and run, scram. You
get the feeling that that's how it's been the last year. Like, they can't even look at each other.
And Michael does. He appears in the room and everybody is like record scratch. It's very tense.
I loved this scene. I thought it was, because the kids are like, Connie's like rushing them out. And I think Kay is like at the door. The kids are like about to leave and Kay turns around. She turns and Michael walks up and they just look at each other and the kids walk out the door. And Michael just walks up to the door, walks up to Kay and just shuts the door on her face. I was like, damn.
Holy shit.
Good scene.
Yeah. To kind of close the loop on the Roth guy, Michael's assassin guy, I think his name is Rocco. He gets to the airport. Like, Roth is like giving, like, press or surrounding him, asking him questions, and Rocco is like standing there initially, and then just walks up, shoots him in the chest.
Shoots him in the chest first, and he's like, and he's kind of like, you're like, okay, maybe he'll live this, and then he shoots him right in the face. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, now he's definitely dead. Okay, but then Rocco, series wrap on both of them. So
Roth has been taken out. We're going to see like Tom visiting Frank, the one who was going to testify, right, and then backed out. It's an interesting conversation, Tom. I don't even know where Frank is at. It's still maybe under FBI witness protection of some sort.
Yeah, that's what I got the feel.
But Tom was able to get like a quick private moment with Frank here. And Tom tells him this story about like back in the Roman Empire days, men would basically just kill themselves rather than betray their emperor, and not put themselves or their families in perilous position. When they've made a mistake or when they messed up, they would just kill themselves and they would protect their whole family. And Frank's like, okay.
Okay.
And later that night, the FBI guys are like, Frank, get out of the bathroom. Frank doesn't respond, so they kick in the bathroom door, and we see that Frank has ended his life in the bathtub. So Roth is down, Frank is down, and we're going to see Fredo and Anthony, they're going to go fishing. But oh no, Anthony, oh, sorry.
Oh, he has chores or something.
Yeah, Michael's like, oh, Anthony, sorry. Get out of the boat.
Anthony and Fredo's like, all right, Anthony, like, sorry you can't go, but I'll catch some fish for you. Yeah, next time.
And Fredo and one of other Michael's bodyguards, Al, they head off in the boats, and Fredo is fishing, and he says his Hail Mary, like he told Anthony he does, to catch the fish. And kind of similar to the cannoli scene in the first one.
Yes,
you just see
I thought that too.
Al
like a shadow.
raise his gun, and while Michael watches in the distance, and you just hear the distant gunshot.
Series
wrap on
Fredo.
And this all culminates to a final scene. We thought the flashbacks were done, but baby, we got a new one. But this is a flashback to 1941. This is not to Vito Corleone, although I think it's his birthday. And everybody is gathered around.
He's alive. Sonny's back.
Sonny is there. Carlo is there. Connie and Carlo. This is like 1941. So this is a few years before. And in fact, Connie is meeting Carlo for the first time at this gig because we see Sonny is like, Connie, this is Carlo. So it's like Sonny introduced those two. Yeah, Michael is there. Tom is there with more hair. And Fredo's there, of course. And they're all gathered. It's a family gathering. And they're there because it's like Vito's birthday, I'm pretty sure. And like Vito's on the way, but he's not present in the scene.
Yeah.
And Michael is like going around telling everybody like, hey, like I'm dropping out of college and I'm going to join the Marines. And we know this to be true because when he shows up to Connie's wedding, he's in full uniform, having just come back from World War II. And everybody's kind of like chastising, like, why would you do that? Why would you do this? But this all kind of gets interrupted because they're like, oh, Vito's on his way. Let's go. And then the movie ends.
Well, this is not. Okay, so
Damn it.
So everyone's like, okay, wait, Vito's coming. Like, let's go. And so everybody walks out of the room, and again, they're like sitting at this table, kind of eating. And then you see Michael still sitting at this table after everyone's left, and he's kind of like, just picking at his food. And it just kind of, the camera just zooms in on him sitting there alone. And then it kind of fades to black, and then it fades back. And we see Michael, very like aged Michael, like older Michael, sitting in like kind of almost like a park of some sorts. I assume it's like his compound or whatever on a bench. And he's very old, but again, he's sitting by himself, nobody around him. Yeah. I wrote in my notes, at the end of the flashback, I said, Michael is sitting alone because of his decisions to stay out of the family business. And then with the flash forward, I said Michael's sitting alone because of his role in the family business. So I think like him sitting alone earlier, and then at the end, it was kind of like, whoa. You see all these people gathered to celebrate Vito, and everyone's like, oh, like, let's go meet him, and we can't wait for him to get here. We're going to celebrate him. And then now you see Michael, and nobody's around him even on just a normal day. Yeah. Like, nobody cares about him. I thought it was very telling. And
I did read that, like, this birthday scene was the one that Marlon Brando was meant to have a cameo appearance for. But apparently he was scheduled to show up, and Marlon Brando just decided not to show up.
Classic. Just like the Oscars.
But yeah, and we very much leave with Michael all alone, having really destroyed his family. And that is The Godfather Part II.
Wow.
Here are some of my overarching thoughts about The Godfather Part II. I think I'm less, like, happy about the flashbacks as you are, Carly, but I do, mainly because, like, I'm kind of anti-flashback, I think, as a narrative device anyways. Because I'm like, did we learn anything new about Vito? I feel like you, as a viewer, you want to stay in the present. You want to stay where the momentum is. You want to stay with Michael and what's going on there. So I was kind of conflicted.
A question, though, for you, though. Yeah. Would you have felt like Michael failed at his role without having seen how Vito did it?
Because I asked myself, like, why include the flashbacks? Why have this in Part 2 at all? And I think we're meant to sort of, the big takeaway is, I think we're meant to sort of compare Vito and Michael. What is Vito doing? What does Michael do? How are they different? Why does Vito, when he makes his decisions, end up surrounded by people he loves, creating a family? And when Michael makes his decisions, he's left all alone. I think that is the main purpose of the flashbacks being here. And so through that lens...
Do you think they were needed, though? Like, do you think without the flashbacks, we could have gotten more context in the current day and still had... Like, could we have had them tell us, not show us, and still gotten that context?
I think so. Because you're right. We were told a lot, like, this isn't how Vito would do it. And that Michael is not acting like a Vito. And so...
Yeah, you're right. And I think I agree with you in that it could have been done differently. And it could have been done in a way that we got more out of our current day characters, which is what we wanted. So I see that. For sure.
I will say that my biggest issue is with the present day storyline. I really just didn't need the Roth storyline at all, or even the Frank stuff. And I'm trying to judge this movie based on what it is, not what I wanted it to be. But I can't help but separate that there were a lot of things I was hoping this movie would do, mainly with like, not even so much Connie, but like with Kay in particular, of like dealing with the ramifications of the fact that he lies to her about what it is that he does, that she's trapped in this marriage that isn't good for her. And like that scene between Kay and Michael when he hits her, I think is the biggest moment of the whole film. And yet it doesn't feel like it was treated as such. And to learn that there was a lot more that Kay did in the script that never made it to the screen. Like, I certainly wouldn't want the flashbacks there if it meant that all of this like good, juicy Kay Adams storyline was sacrificed for it. I almost feel like the flashbacks isn't what took that away. It was like going to Cuba, and it was the Senate hearing and all of that sort of, you know, I wanted Michael to be challenged, but I didn't want it to be some random old Florida man challenging him that we never even met until this movie. I wanted it to be Kay. I wanted it to be Connie. I wanted it to be a fight for Michael's soul here. If Kay could have been the only one to bring Michael back into the light, you know?
Yeah.
And then he still makes the decision to kill Fredo and go into the dark instead. But instead, it's like there's no redeeming qualities to Michael at all. Like, there's not even really a glint that Michael could revert back to his 1941, this birthday scene, when Michael is not the cold-blooded killer that he is now. I think that's the purpose of that final scene, is to show us just how different Michael now is as opposed to Michael then. But yeah, I'm just so bummed. Runtime, like, over 6 hours.
I know.
And women have nothing to do in either of these movies. I just find that disappointing. But again, I'm trying to judge the movie based on what it is and not what I wanted it to be. And there is good things about The Godfather Part II. People do say it's like better than the first. I think I disagree. I like Part 1 more. I think there's more iconic lines. I think Marlon Brando is really good as Vito. You know, nothing against Robert De Niro, but
I liked rooting for The Godfather. And I don't think we do that in the second one.
In Michael's journey, you know, from point A to point B in the first Godfather, really good. Where again, here, he stays the same. He's already at point B and he remains in point B now with less people around him. So yeah, I like the first one more. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, you know, for people who love the Godfathers.
I'll ask my Italian family members what they think.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Carly, what were your thoughts watching the movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of what we talked about, I think in general, I did. I appreciated the kind of prequel, sequel, I guess, idea of the movie as like an art piece. You know, I was like, this is cool. And so many sequels just don't do it right. Like, they can't get it right. But I can see, you know, back in this time, having, you know, a movie come out that was as a sequel to a movie that was so big. And it's like, how do we do bigger?
Yeah.
And I think this was a good way to like try to do bigger. And I think, like you said, a lot of people think it is better than the other one. And this might just be one of the only ways that they could have done it, is to really expand in both directions and like expand this world even bigger in the past and in the future. So I thought that was good. I can see how it could be so well received and so well liked. I think, whereas with the last movie, I was like, every scene was important, and every scene I got, you know, a story piece from it, and it culminated into this beautiful movie that I just loved. This one, like, I could have cut out an hour of the movie probably and just not cared what happened and still gotten what out of the main characters, what I feel like the movie was trying to give us. So I do. I think it was very long. I don't know if it's just because I've just been busy the past couple weeks and watching this movie, which just took, I mean, it took 3.5 hours to watch. So I was just like, this movie is dragging. But then it would have these like key pieces to the Corleone family, which I think is what I cared about. And, you know, so I really liked the movie. I'm not disliking the movie, but I wanted, similar to what you said, I wanted more of different things, and I just wanted less altogether. And I think they still could have made it a good story about the Corleones.
I think it definitely takes a step back from it being like a movie about a family. I think, like, I know you famously have never seen Star Wars, but I think one of the reasons why it does so well is because, like, it's a story about a family. It just takes place in space, right? And I think, like, this is ultimately a story about a family, and I think the first one really hits home. You know, it really does feel like when Sonny dies, it's brutal, and they all feel it, and it's impactful. And in here, the family was, aside from Fredo, like, was really relegated, I think, to the side. I never expected Fredo to kind of step into the spotlight, but I was hoping, like, Connie had some real issues with Michael, and yet she's a secondary character. You know what I mean? I felt like we took a step back from this being about a family, and a complicated family, of course, and it became more about just like
The politics.
the politics, the business,
The
like
crime.
business deals.
Which is interesting for you because you don't usually care about family dynamics. But I know you care about a good character.
There's a reason they work, though, because it just creates such compelling things. And this is a very interesting family. It's not a usual family, you know what I mean? So you do want to see even further and more in depth of the impacts to this family based on its uniqueness. But you're right. I otherwise like I don't like a schmaltzy Driving Miss Daisy feel good family drama, but there was still family drama that was actually just like left on the cutting room floor that I'm like,
Yeah, you're so right.
I'm mad about it, but
we got 3 Senate hearings? Like,
right. That senator guy that like who cared about him, so
he killed a prostitute maybe,
Right.
and that it didn't even need to be there. It really didn't.
Well, let's give our
Let's
rating.
rate it.
For Godfather Part 1, the emoji we chose was the Italian flag.
Appropriately.
And for this movie, we are going with the Statue of Liberty.
Loved it. Brad had this idea and I loved it. The only thing I could think of was like oranges?
Right.
Question mark. But I love the idea of the Statue of Liberty. I think it's perfect. So how many statues would you give this, Bradley? For context, you gave the first one 4. So how many would you give Part 2?
I'm giving Godfather Part 2 4 Statue of Liberties.
4 statues?
I consider 3, and certainly this is a lower 4. When we get to the ranking, I'm certainly putting this movie behind Godfather Part 1. I've learned about me that like when I'm giving a 3, it's because I kind of feel apathy toward the movie. Like it strikes neutrality in me. It's like it was fine, basically. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine. And I can't say that would not be true of my experience watching this. I was frustrated, angry. It's hard to deny like how much this movie does, and we started at the beginning of this episode comparing it to Driving Miss Daisy, and it's so comical. that simple little base story that was only like 90 minutes long.
And there were like 3 sets to the whole movie.
Yeah. As opposed to this juggernaut. And yes, it's a long movie. Yes, they do too much, but you can't deny how powerful of a film this is.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. So for that, I give it a 4. Carly?
I see your 4 statues of liberties, and I match you. I think I like this one being a 4. I think it's a 4 for different reasons than the first one.
Yeah.
Or I almost think like the 5th emoji was lost for different reasons in both. And I think that's something I wish I would have prepared more for this, because I would have liked to like really sit on like, why did I knock down The Godfather? Why did I knock down The Godfather Part 2? I know in my head they're very different reasons, but I don't know if I could speak to it right now. But I agree with you. I think this movie was such a piece of art. Like, I just really do. I think the way that they took this masterpiece of a movie, Godfather, and then kind of like built into this world, I think was so cool. I just really do. And I think they did it well. I think Robert De Niro deserves every single flower for this movie. I just loved him in this movie. Yeah, in general, I think it was a good film. I liked the themes. I liked the stories.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more of different things, which is why ultimately it's not a 5, but I really liked it. And I will keep us going and say, I don't think it was for the girls. I think they could have made it a little more for the girlies. I think the first one was definitely not this one. And I wish we could like clip what you and I wanted for Godfather Part 2, because it was like, we want this to be more for the girls and we want to figure more out and like dive deeper into their stories. But they did the opposite of that and left them out even more of this film. So I would have liked a lot more of that, but I don't think it was for the girls at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it should have been. It could have
been. Could have been, should have been.
This might surprise you. I am going to say Godfather Part 2 is for the gays.
Oh my gosh, simply because of Fredo?
Now that we've unlocked the secret behind Fredo, and he had more to do in this movie than he did in the first one.
Wow, that is surprising to me.
It's for the gays.
I literally never know what to expect from you with this question.
Carly, would you like to guess the Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, people just friggin' love this movie.
Higher or lower than Godfather, which got a 97?
Oof.
Or is it the same score?
I want to match it. I want to say 97, but for the sake of me wanting to be right, I'm going to say it went lower at 95. Is it a 99er?
It is not a 99er.
Okay.
It's a 1-digit difference.
Oh, a 98er?
It's a 96er.
96er? Okay, so it is one lower. So I was pretty close.
You were pretty close, yeah. From what I could read too, like I think when Godfather 2 was first released, there was sort of a little bit more mixed reactions. It has since kind of come around in modern times as like, no, this is like one of the all-time great films ever. But I think initially there was some like this plot was really convoluted, and there were actual criticisms towards the movie when it came out. But people, I think, similar to you and I, were just like, yeah, but like, what a great fucking film. You know what I mean? Like it stands the test of time, and it's doing things that other films can't even dream of being. So
it's a film that they can't redo. Like they can never remake The Godfather. They just can't. It's perfect with what it is. If they ever try, people will riot, including me. And I just don't think, like you said, it stands the test of time. It is what it is, and it needs to stay that way.
Yep. All right. Let's rank it.
Let's rank it.
We put Godfather Part 1 in our A tier in the 4th spot overall. Seems like we both agree that we would not put it above. I did not fully land on a spot.
Yeah.
Part of me did consider just doing 5th overall, putting the Godfathers together. But with some of my frustrations with the film, I was kind of looking at B tier. And I even considered it to be like right after One Battle After Another.
Brad, that's where I'm looking. 100%. I think I can't see putting it above One Battle After Another. I'm actually surprised that we made that B tier, but I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could see putting it above Platoon, but I can't see putting it below anything else that's in A tier. So, and that's just something I'll have to live with.
But yeah, I just think like One Battle After Another was just a fun, entertaining film where, like you said, there were parts to The Godfather Part 2 that were a bit of a slog and a little bit of a drag. And so I was thinking like 2nd overall in that B tier.
When I was looking at B tier, that's what I was thinking.
It puts it at our 10th film overall. Top 10, baby.
Top 10. I can be comfortable with that.
Me too. I don't have a lot on Francis Ford Coppola. Of course, we hit on his career in Part 1. And for this update, I wanted to talk more about just the Coppola family, because that is one of these like very famous names in Hollywood, although I don't know a lot about them. Francis Ford is one of 3. He's got a sister and he's got a brother. He's also known for putting his own family into his own movies, something that has drawn a lot of criticism. People are like, oh my God, the nepotism in the Coppola family. It's kind of laughable now when we think about like the Nepo baby discourse, like that's still ongoing. And there's so many actors we can look at now who are the children of famous actors. It's just like, who cares?
Right. Can we stop?
So something that I don't think we mentioned the last time, but Talia Shire, who plays Connie in these Godfather movies, is actually Francis Ford's sister.
That's crazy.
I did not realize that. And he has a brother, August. And August Coppola is the father of Nicolas Cage, a Coppola family member. Nick Cage.
Whoa. Is the father of Nick Cage. Wow.
Nick Cage is Francis's nephew.
Wait, so who's Nick Cage's dad?
August Coppola.
So why is Nick's last name not Coppola, you know?
He changed it because of the intense criticism lobbied against the Coppola family for the nepotism and all of this and the favoritism, yada, yada, yada. And so Nick Cage changed his last name to sort of distance himself.
Nicolas Cage was born Nicholas Kim Coppola. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Good for him, though.
I never knew. Of course, Nicolas Cage, like, household name for me growing up, you know, and, you know, I lived through the internet hating him and making fun of him at every possible turn. And now I think the internet has turned back around and now we love Nick Cage and we treat him seriously. And then Talia Shire, she is the mother of Jason Schwartzman.
Wow.
But yeah, Jason Schwartzman is also a member of the Coppola family. And Francis is the father of Sofia Coppola. This is a name I don't know much about Sofia. She does have a cameo as like a baby in this Godfather Part 2.
And I think she plays Mary.
She has a role, in the third one. But Sofia Coppola is now like an acclaimed director of her own, and she's tied to a lot of A24 projects, which is why like I know the name. But she did The Bling Ring, and she most recently did Priscilla. She directed that. She's done Virgin Suicides, Marie Antoinette.
But yeah, she does play Mary Corleone in The Godfather Part 3.
Okay. Yeah. And my understanding too is she also stepped away from acting and focused on directing because of this intense backlash against the Coppola family. And I just think it's so laughable now.
Right.
In total, the Coppola family has 8 Oscar wins in their family and 24 nominations in total. But yeah, that is the Coppola family. And Carly, what'd you dig up for Part 2?
Yeah, similarly, we have already talked about a lot of the actors in this movie, but I wanted to dive into Robert De Niro. We really haven't talked about him yet with any of our other films, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
All of his friends call him Bobby, which I think is very cool, and I want to call him that.
Bobby.
Bobby studied Sicilian and actually lived in Sicily for a couple months to study for this role, which I think was very true. He did win the Oscar for this role, which I'm sure Brad will get into. So this was really his big first role. And there's also notes that he was considered for a lot of roles in The Godfather Part 1, but they never worked out. And they were a lot of more side roles. So I think it was almost like a blessing that he didn't, so he could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, so De Niro and Brando are the first actors to ever win Oscars for portraying the same character, which I think is so cool. And I think it shows a lot to Francis Ford Coppola and just the world he created, and, going back to even just the Godfather world in general. I know it wasn't all Francis Ford Coppola, but I mean, he brought it to reality, and I think it was just the character in general was dove into so deeply that I think it's cool. Two different perspectives on the character were Oscar-winning roles,
Yeah.
He also won another Academy Award for Raging Bull, which is not a movie that we will watch, but I'm sure we will hear about it in the lesser half at some point. He is just like an iconic actor, like when you think Robert De Niro, like what movies do you think? What are like the first ones that come to your mind?
Meet the Parents, for sure.
Yeah.
That was a staple in my household growing up.
What about Silver Linings Playbook? Did you ever watch that?
I did, but much later.
He's just an iconic actor. I'm surprised he only has 2 Oscars, to be honest. It's weird that he has all these serious like mobster movies, and then he does a lot of like funny movies too.
Right.
He's in that like Neighbors movie with Zac Efron. Like, yeah, there's just like, he has 2 sides, and I think that's like a really good actor, is someone who could do both. He's old now, but he still does all these movies. He's still just well represented, well respected in Hollywood. I didn't find anything like negative about him. So I don't know. I think Robert De Niro, this being his first big role, first big film, it just set him up for a 50-year career.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really it.
The 47th Academy Awards, similar to the 45th, where The Godfather won, this is also hosted by a panel of people. Bob Hope is back, of course. And we have Shirley MacLaine, Brother Rumptha. She is hosting. As well as Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra. So Frank Sinatra hosting the Academy Awards. And speaking of Shirley MacLaine, her actual brother, Warren Beatty, presented Best Picture, which is the 3rd time I feel like I've said Warren Beatty presented Best Picture. It's like, how often did this guy give out this award? And it turns out he did it 4 times, and we've already talked about 3 of them. So
oh my gosh,
he's got 1 more out there. All right, let's get into the lesser half.
How many are there?
There's 5 in total.
Okay.
Including The Godfather. But yeah, first movie, Chinatown. This had 11 nominations. Only 1 win for original screenplay. Chinatown is a movie I have heard of, and I know people highly regard it. I have not seen it myself. This was directed by Roman Polanski, a pretty terrible human being who basically admitted to sexually assaulting a minor. And then on the day that he was going to be really like indicted, he fled to France. And because he has French citizenship, he's been able to evade the U.S. justice system ever since.
That's disgusting. That's the pianist guy, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. My mom, texted me one day in the last maybe month and a half. And it was like, why haven't you guys talked about Roman Polanski? I'm like, what are you talking about, Mom? She's like, he directed, I forget what movie. He's like, he directed this movie. I was like, he did? And then I was like, no, he didn't. She's like,
right.
Oh, I was thinking of the pianist. But I'm so glad that you're bringing him up finally, so my mom can be like, so, Mom, we found him.
Yeah.
Not physically, because he's still hiding, but...
Yeah, he's 90 years old. He's still alive. But yeah, he's hiding out in France, and because France won't extradite one of their own either. So he really is just protected there. And despite the fact that he has actually admitted to being a big old pedo. So,
yeah.
But he directed this movie, Chinatown, that people love. So, and then the next movie is The Conversation. The Conversation, also directed by Francis Ford Coppola. He has 2 films.
Wow.
represented here.
That can't have happened very often, if ever. 2 films by the same director.
I mentioned The Conversation very briefly in our last episode because it won the Palme d'Or, and it is kind of highly regarded as a great film as well. 3 nominations, but 0 wins. So suck it, Francis.
Francis.
No, he's going to have a good night anyways. The next movie is called Lenny. And Lenny is like a biographical film about a comedian named Lenny Bruce. don't know him.
Lenny Bruce?
You know Lenny Bruce?
I know Lenny Bruce because, oh my gosh, what is that? The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a show on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Awesome show. And a main character in that is Lenny Bruce. And she like is a stand-up comedian, like runs around with Lenny Bruce. And so, yeah, that's kind of cool. I would actually love to watch that movie because Lenny Bruce was such a big character in that show. So
this was directed by Bob Fosse. I bring that up because in
Bob Fosse,
the 45th Academy Awards, you know, he had Cabaret in the lesser half, and Cabaret won nearly every single award except for Best Picture. So it's interesting that he is here competing with another Godfather just 2 years later with another
oh my
film.
God, could you imagine?
Right. But yeah, Lenny had 6 nominations and 0 wins. So sorry to you, Lenny Bruce. And then the last film is called The Towering Inferno.
Ooh, sounds hot.
It's like, it's kind of similar to 9/11, where it's a giant sort of glass skyscraper that is like engulfed in flames and like all these people trapped inside. It's like a disaster film.
Yeah, so. I don't know if it's like 9/11. But they definitely both have towers and tragedy. So
The Towering Inferno had 8 nominations and 3 wins. Wins in cinematography, editing, and song.
wait, there were musical numbers in this Towering Inferno film?
The song is called "We May Never Love Like This Again." Music and lyrics by Al Kasha and Joel Hirschhorn.
Even more proving it is not like 9/11 at all.
You just need to go look at it, Carly.
Okay. I will. It's very much like 9/11. They sing a lot in it, and it won for best music.
I'm just saying, I'm sure people could look at the plot of that movie and be like, oh, that's kind of too real, you know?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
not saying a plane crashed into it, but it's like, it's like a tall skyscraper that is burning down. Like,
yeah. I wonder if like a whole country was under attack in it as well.
Right.
And like,
yeah. I don't
3,000 people died. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, but some of the imagery does look very similar. I see what you mean.
Okay, thank you. I don't have to edit all this out now. So The Godfather Part II is the big winner of the night. It has 11 nominations, tied with Chinatown, but it takes home 6 wins. Of course, in Best Picture, Francis Ford finally gets the Best Director win, as he did not win it in the 45th Academy Awards. As you mentioned, Robert De Niro does win Best Supporting Actor. It wins in Adapted Screenplay, Art Direction, and Dramatic Score. We also mentioned in the last episode that The Godfather Part I had one of their nominations revoked for the scoring of music due to some technicality. And now, finally, the scoring actually wins the award. So it loses in Best Actor, so Al Pacino is nominated and does not win in the Best Actor category. And then the guy who plays Frank and Roth are both nominated in the supporting actor, and they lose to Robert De Niro. Frank and Roth, I think, is a bit of a head scratcher for me. And of course, I was going to say no women nominated, but that is not true, because somehow Connie herself, Talia, has a nomination for Best Actress in Supporting Role. And I swear to God, she had 10 minutes of screen time in this 3-hour film.
That's unbelievable.
And she does not win. So
no, that's so stupid. I mean, there must have been no other women supporting actresses in any other film of the year, because I think Kay might have had more screen time than Connie did.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's very bizarre. She loses to Ingrid Bergman, who is one of those founding members of the Academy. Also the mother of Isabella Rossellini, which I did not realize. So, but yeah, so
nepotism.
And then they also lose in costume design as well. The 47th Academy Awards was the last to air on NBC. From here on out, it will head over to ABC and remain there until the 101st Academy Awards, where YouTube will have it. So ABC is their tenure is about to end as well.
Wow.
There was like a bit of some drama happening where one of the like best documentary winners goes up, and this is like towards the end of like the Vietnam War. And so they specifically, those winners go up there in their speech. They're like, hey, like, here's to the end of war and being anti-war in general. And here's for peace for everybody. And this was like met with boos, and everybody hated them. And apparently Bob Hope got really pissed that they did this and felt the need to have Frank Sinatra read out a statement about like, hey, the Academy is like apolitical and we don't take any stands about war and violence and yada, yada, yada. And Frank reading this made Shirley MacLaine pissed. And she was like, shut up, Frank, you old Republican. So
she said that on stage?
Yes. Her and Warren Beatty were like mad about this. And they blamed Frank. I don't think they realized like Frank was reading Bob Hope's words, but They're like, shut up, Frank, you old Republican, which...
The brother of Ramtha hath spoken.
And that's it. So a less eventful Academy Awards than The Godfather Part 1 and everything that Marlon Brando did there. But that is that.
That is that.
We did it.
Amazing. We did The Godfathers. We've talked about this since the beginning, that we were going to do them together, and it's crazy that we've done it. Another big check off the list.
Yeah, I didn't think we would get to them this early in our 20s like this, but I'm happy in case for whatever reason we never finished this project. At least we did The Godfathers. We did some big ones,
For sure.
And Driving Miss Daisy, and
those are the big pieces of film that we wanted to make sure we covered. Brad, what are we doing next?
Yes, I can now publicly reveal our next film. But yeah, our next film, our 28th episode is Mutiny on the Bounty.
Mutiny on the Bounty.
This is the 8th Best Picture winner from 1935. So we are heading back to the 1930s again. We already looked it up. It's not 3 hours long.
Just 2 hours and 20 minutes.
A blessing.
A blessing.
In this day and age. So, well, Carly.
I gotta go.
Love
Bradley,
you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.